Donald Trump's former White House communications director, Anthony Scaramucci, has again admitted something, which I've been covering for years at this point, which is that Donald Trump has difficulty reading. He really doesn't read, and he struggles to read. Anthony Scaramucci has been doing interviews recently. He's been more honest than maybe we are used to hearing from people who worked for Trump or who work for Trump. And he's admitted to a number of things, including that Donald Trump can't read very well. Check out this clip from an interview with Anand Giridharadas, who's been a previous guest on the David Pakman show as well.
I'm not a diagnostician, but my guess is that he probably had an undiagnosed learning disability as a kid. Maybe it's a form of dyslexia or something like that. And so his reading comprehension levels are not where his IQ possibly is. Okay. Now he's in decline right now, but you'd have to stipulate that he's a reasonably smart guy. I mean, he built a business, he built a, television show. He made a name for himself. And in 17 short months, he went from being a reality television star to the presidency of the United States. So we have to stipulate that there's intelligence in there, but it's what kind of intelligence?
So Scaramucci is obviously not saying it in as definitive or aggressive terms as we have suggested before, but Scaramucci also knows that Trump struggles to read, and he makes it clear there. This is not making fun of people. This is not making fun of learning disabilities. This is simply pointing out, don't we need a president who can read well and regularly reads? We suspect Trump hasn't read a book in his adult life. There's no evidence that Trump has read a book in his adult life. He's never mentioned reading anything other than his own book, Art of the Deal, which he didn't write. Tony Schwartz wrote it, and the Bible, which, if you believe Trump reads the Bible, okay, I may have a bridge to sell you. But remember that I've been covering this for years, and there's interest in it and a lot of agreement. Back in February of 2017, we did a story called Trump Fails Basic Literacy Test. It got nearly 3.4 million views on YouTube, another 7 million on Facebook. This was subsequently picked up around the world, including in France and other countries, and it explains a lot. Now, not being able to read well doesn't mean Trump's a bad person. Not being able to read well doesn't mean Trump is wrong on policy. He is usually wrong on policy, but for other reasons. But it explains a lot, to quote Donald Trump, including things like this from earlier this week.
Dickinson, Hologic, and Cephahide.
This reading deficit has been widely corroborated. Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson said when Trump was hosting SNL, Trump couldn't seem to read the scripts. I've played this clip for you before.
What happened with the Trump story?
Okay, so he's like, he doesn't really know how to read.
For real.
Yeah, and he loves to improv.
Yeah.
So during the table read, he before we were gonna before he had to read each line, and he's the host, so he's at everything.
Yeah.
He would go, I'm not gonna say this. I think I'm gonna say it the way I want to say it. Is that okay? Is that okay, Lauren? Is that everything? And everybody's like, what? Mm. And then this is my favorite part is there was a sketch that we wrote where he's at Disneyland with his daughter, and the line is, all right, let's get out of here. Turkey legs? Let's go get turkey legs? And he doesn't know how to read. So he went, all right, let's get out of here, turkey legs. He called his daughter turkey legs.
Maybe that was his improv.
Oh, no, it wasn't. And then he looked up, he doesn't get it. He thinks if everybody's laughing with him, but we're all laughing at him.
So that's not new. We've covered that previously. Noel Casler worked with Trump on The Apprentice and says Trump couldn't read, although with Noel Casler, it seemed maybe it was more about Trump's inability to sit still rather than simply not being able to read. Noel Casler, we've heard about the possible uppers stuff with The Apprentice. So the point is, we know from sources inside the White House, Trump's presidential daily briefings have been reduced from what's normally many pages of text to just a couple of pages, to just one page, to just one page that is half charts and graphs. And even that Trump is accepting with low frequency. So this is not good. And the reason it's not good is because it's tough to be informed if you're not reading a lot as president. That's how Barack Obama was informed. That's how George W. Bush read a lot. He read, political material. He also just read books. We know that doesn't mean Bush is a great guy. Doesn't mean he was a great president, but he was reading at least. He came to many wrong decisions, but he was reading. Bill Clinton spent a ton of time reading intelligence, reporting, books, etc. Trump simply doesn't do it. And all politics aside, that's a fundamental liability when you're president of the United States. It's sad more than anything, but it has a real effect on Trump's ability to be a leader, and it's not a good effect. I'll tell you that right now. There's a YouTube channel called Upflip that we're partnering with. I would love for you to check it out. I've put the link right underneath the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel when you're there. Upflip is a channel that is all about exploring small business and what makes a small business successful. Every episode interviews an entrepreneur. You take a tour of the business, and these are not generic interviews. You actually get a really fascinating deep dive into the history of the business, the mistakes the entrepreneur made, what they learned, what motivates them, what a day is like running their business. And you get all sorts of super interesting and valuable insight about what it's like to run that type of small business. As a business owner myself, I find Upflip's videos to be endlessly intriguing. Even if you don't own your own business, it is really great for a general audience. It's stuff that I think just about anybody would find fascinating. And you can check it out by going to davidpakman.com/upflip. The link is right underneath this video. When you're there, make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications.